Welcome to the Hobby of a Lifestyle podcast, a show that looks at how our passions impact lives and drive career choices. I'm Andy Gray, a former national and world champion kickboxer. During my shows, I'll be talking with athletes, coaches, fans and more as I delve into their world to find out what inspired them on their journey. Welcome to another episode of Hobby of a Lifestyle. Today I'm joined by the super talented Hekla Goodman, singer-songwriter for the band Khasma, former Icelandic youth international football player. Let's take a listen to her journey. Enjoy. Morning, Hekla. Thank you very much for coming on the show today. How are you?
I'm good. You?
I'm good, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to getting into the thick of this interview and find out a little bit more about your journey over here to Europe. Hekla, whereabouts in the US are you from?
Central Valley in California. I kind of moved around a bit when I was younger. So I was born in a small town called Visalia. We moved to Southern California, to Orange County. And then I spent half of my childhood growing up in a small town called Clovis, really rural agricultural area. But yeah, good place to raise kids and super sports focused. There were a lot of baseball players and football players that became professional that came from our area.
Oh, come on, name drop.
I can't remember.
Oh.
But like Boston Red Sox players would move back to Clovis. A couple of the guys I grew up playing with went on to play for Stanford on their football team, and then played for the Denver Broncos, I believe. So,
fantastic. Yeah. So you started off in America, and what was your sport of choice when you were over in America?
Yeah, I think my parents realized early on that I had a lot of energy, and the only way to get that out was to let me run around a bit. So my friend was playing soccer at the time, or football. So I got into that, and I just fell in love with it, and that's kind of where you would find me most days of the week, was on the pitch.
Wow! And did you play for any teams when you were out there in America?
Yeah, so I played club soccer, and kind of went up through the ranks. We were nationally ranked, played at a lot of national tournaments in the States, and then I went on to play college soccer. And this whole time, I kind of would fly in between Iceland and California to be looked at for scouts on the international team, so the Iceland national team, as well as playing in their league over there.
All right, and can you just tell listeners how you qualify for the Iceland team?
Yeah, so my mom is Icelandic, and I've got a dual citizenship. I kind of sit in this no man's land between not being so American and not being so Icelandic. So every time I would go to Iceland, there'd be like, there's the American girl, and didn't really know why I could be on the national team or playing over there. And then I'd come back to America and they'd be like, isn't that the Icelandic girl? So it's just always confusing for everyone.
That's fantastic. Which college did you go to?
I went to a small private university called William Jessup.
Okay, and what did you study?
Branded. Huh?
What did you study out there?
I studied business marketing.
Wow.
Yeah, and I got a minor in theology because that was kind of a requirement of the private school there.
Okay. So did you get a scholarship for university?
Yeah, so I would have gotten a full ride for football, but I also have a brain as well, opposed to most popular belief of athletes. So I ended up getting, my package was partial football, partial academic.
Wow.
So yeah, it was kind of like always these two paths that I was establishing for myself. And I really wanted to be good in the classroom just to make sure that my future was kind of sorted after football as well.
Wow. So at college you played football. Was there any scouting from any of the professional teams over in the US or over in Europe at the time?
I think my path, because I played for NAIA school, and that was kind of a requirement to be able to play internationally as well, because if I didn't do that, then I would be breaking NCAA rules if I went to a D1 or whatever college.
Okay.
So that was my intention with that. I was being scouted for people like Columbia University, and just decided that wasn't the path for me, really, especially knowing that eventually I wanted to live abroad. I kind of wanted to spend some more time in California to be closer to my family. So there wasn't much of my intention to be in the States, if I'm actually honest. There were a couple of semi-pro teams that were looking at me to play in the off season during the summer, but I wasn't so interested because I was trying to get to Iceland as much as possible.
Wow. So you mentioned Iceland quite a lot. So you're capped by Iceland, and is that at youth level or is that at senior level?
Yeah, that's for the youth team. So I've got 2 caps for the youth team. I did played in the UEFA Cup in Israel with them.
Wow.
And I've done a series of camps with the national team, was being looked at for the A team as well, played with all of those girls. And that's kind of where I guess my journey ended, because I didn't see, well, to be honest, I kind of fell out of love with it after university. But I was played 2 years in the league for 2 different teams. For Stjarnan, which is quite well known because they've got really good goal celebrations. You might have seen them on YouTube, the men's team.
I know exactly which one you
mean. The fish and stuff.
Yeah.
They're quite fun guys.
I can imagine. I wonder, did they actually do any training, or did they just work on celebrations all week?
I mean, if you watch the Icelandic football teams, you would realize that they don't do much training. They just park in the back, wait for everything to happen. If you've seen any games,
I have seen games, because didn't they knock England out of the World Cup?
Yeah, that was quite a disruption.
Quite a sore subject. That's what that one is.
I think I was actually watching in Newcastle that game.
Oh, so you just double rubbed salt in the wounds? Is that what it was all about?
Yeah, my brother was actually visiting as well, and we once Iceland scored, we just kind of jumped up and screamed, and everybody looked at us, and we were like, oh my God, we've got to keep it together.
It's a good job Newcastle's the friendliest city in the world, isn't it?
I know.
Contrary to popular belief.
Yeah.
So you said that you've played internationally for Iceland at youth level. What position did you play, by the way?
It just kind of depended on the coach that I had. I was center mid, left mid, and striker.
Okay. Which
I enjoyed playing striker the most.
Yeah, everyone likes scoring
goals. That's
goals.
Probably where I sat. Yeah, but I guess I'm really short. I don't know if you remember how short I was, but I'm quite sneaky. Right. Yeah. So I was always in the right place at the right time. And that's kind of why I think that I enjoyed striker the most.
And let's be honest, you just like playing striker, so you could come up with some of those brilliant celebrations.
There was a lot of celebrating.
You heard it here first, folks. Hekla actually is the main instigator of the famous celebrations that you see now go viral around the world.
Yeah, the hoop was definitely my idea.
Of that one, yeah. You heard it here, folks. Copyrighted. Yeah. If you want to use it, you've got to get in touch with Hekla Goodman.
Thanks. Just contact my agent.
Yeah, she doesn't charge a lot. I love that. So why exactly did you fall out with football or soccer?
There was always a struggle. I didn't really get to celebrate football ever because I would come back to America. A lot of the girls that I played with, and sorry if anybody's listening, it felt like there was a lot of jealousy. I only knew one other international footballer at the time that came from like my area and that I was around. Now that we're a little older, some of the girls that I did grow up playing with have now been on the USA national team, or girls that I played with abroad are on the national team as well. And I guess the league had been disbanded in America, and there wasn't it felt like nobody cared really. So it just became this narrative that I didn't talk about. I'll pursue my goals till dead end, I guess. And I had a conversation with my manager in Iceland when I was on the national team, and she was like, if you really want a career in this, you've got what it takes, and I can help you connect, make the connects. And I thought at the end of my college career, because my university team wasn't very good, we did win a lot of titles, but it just wasn't at the level that I liked, and it was kind of like me just playing five-a-side, really.
Right, yeah.
And there was a lot of politics with my coach. And so I just decided, you know what? I'm tired of trying to prove myself to everybody. I
Yeah.
might as well do something that I can be remunerated for, and actually celebrate. If that
No,
makes
no, that's great. So you've finished university, you've fell out of love with football, something you were obviously
Yeah.
very good at. How did you make your
I
way?
mean, calm it down. I wasn't the best in the world, but
To be honest, if you've got international caps, you've obviously been a very good player. I
yeah, yeah.
don't care if it's one cap. You know, it's you've played at international level at the end of the day, and how many people can say they've done that? Not a
Yeah,
lot.
true.
So
Women.
I think it's very good. But you've stopped playing football. You finished university, and you've already talked a lot about wanting to leave America, and you're obviously in Europe
Mhm.
now. And I met you in Newcastle. So
Mhm.
what brought you over to Europe, and what started the journey over here? I know you were in Iceland a lot anyway, but what inspired you to continue the journey of exploring Europe, I suppose?
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, it was like, what's next? Like, I don't want to stay in California, get, a dead end job or something like that. There wasn't a lot of jobs going, I think, at the moment anyway. And so I was like, how can I get abroad? I really like academia. I can see myself being a professor. So that immediately became my next like North Star. Um, I got into a pretty well-renowned university called Uppsala University. Study for my master's in digital media and society. It was this new program that they were guinea pigging. And I was like, okay, if I want a career in research, this is the next best thing because Sweden is well known for that. And I was like, yes, this is going to be great. We're going to change the world with our research. That was not the case. And I quickly learned that the world of research was too slow for me. Um, so so I was like, okay, well, what else can I do? So I started working for tech startups on the side
Okay.
while studying. Um, and but this program was really good. I'm not knocking it at all. I think it just wasn't what I expected. Like
Right.
they were bring a double barrel masters and uh, connections into the world of research, and you could travel the world,
Yeah.
do lectures, and that was cool. So I started working for a tech company based out of London, traveling back and forth. And I got us some funding to go into an accelerator program. And that's kind of when I got over to Newcastle. I joined them there and started living there while studying as well. And I just met this whole ecosystem of entrepreneurs. And I was like, oh my God, I see some of myself in these people because
Right.
they're so proactive, they're relentless, they're driven. And I really admired that. So I just kind of got stuck in and met loads of people.
Fantastic. And you're obviously now down in London.
Yeah.
So what are you doing in London? Tell us all about it.
I think you'll find like through my story, I've always got these parallel lives. So it'll be like something that makes me money and something I'm passionate about, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm living in London. I work for Big Issue Invest, which is a social investor. And I head up early stage investments. So I just go around the UK looking for really good people that are trying to reinvest all of their time, all of their commitment into their community. And that often looks like location-based programs or mini accelerators where we provide mentorship through corporate programs, and also funding at the end of it. And that's been a real learning curve, but I've actually kind of found this niche of finance that I really love because I was always really wanting to be involved with philanthropy. And I've realized that taking money from not the rich to give it to the poor, I guess that's a horrible way to say it,
Yeah.
but taking money from the powers that be and giving it to people that are like you and me who just want to spread some positivity. And
Of
that's what I
course.
get to do on a daily basis.
So Hekla Robin Hood Goodman. It's fine.
That's catchy.
I like it. It's catchy. I think I might actually title the episode Hekla Robin Hood Goodman. I'm gonna. It's done. That's
That's
what it's gonna do.
awesome.
That's what we're
Let's
gonna
do
do.
it.
That's fantastic. Okay, so Hekla, I've realised that you are not one for kind of shouting from the rooftops how good you are at things. Because I must admit, before we spoke, just until just recently, I had no idea that you had played football at such a high level.
You had to find out from Kyla.
I had to find out from Kyla, and for those who don't know, Kyla was the first guest on the Hobby of a Lifestyle. And but what else? What's your passion? Because you talked about having a job and the passion. So why didn't you plug away and tell everyone what your passion is?
Yeah. So I'm a singer-songwriter, and I'm in a band called Khasma, who now has international profile, which is really cool. We got together because we were writing for a small label based out of Australia, and trying to help nurture this young German singer. And we kind of met for this writing workshop. I ended up writing a song. She couldn't sing it. So we're like, okay, great. Let's lay down the track, and then we'll just sell it to a label and try to do whatever we can with it. And I met these two guys who were producers, and we just kind of got on like a house on fire. We ended up writing another song in 15 minutes of like me driving to their mini studio. And yeah, it was just kind of this great match. I'd never felt anything like it before. We got on super well. It felt like we knew each other forever, really. So we were like, where can this go, really? And just kept writing songs, and then got commissioned to write an international theme song for a sporting event in Switzerland.
Can you name the sporting event, or are you not allowed?
Yeah, it's called ETF Turnfest.
Wow.
It was based out of Aarau, which is a city in Switzerland. And it was, the theme song called Move the World was all over the radio and TV for promotional purposes. We released another song called Wildfire, which is still playing on the radio today, about 6 or 7 times in rotation. Wow. We're releasing an album. Fantastic. To be determined when the date of release is because of coronavirus. But it's really exciting.
It's very exciting. For guys who haven't heard Khasma, you need to definitely go and check them out. I'm going to put a link in the notes on today's episode because it's absolutely brilliant. I might, if I'm allowed, even put a little clip in somewhere in this episode.
Yeah.
Because it's absolutely fantastic. You guys will love it. I know I use it in the gym a lot with my clients. And they're always like really getting onto it. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is Hekla. You know, she's in a band called Khasma. You need to go and check it out. So I do really like it.
You'd be surprised how many workout videos that we've been in and people have sent us. I actually had a few friends that are fitness instructors in like New York and California and stuff, and they would be like, hey, you're on our playlist today. We're going to be like biking to move the world or whatever.
Do you see your passion becoming your full-time career, or are you still wanting to keep it as a passion and stay within the financial sector?
Yeah, see, this is what I don't know, because when I gave my passion 100%, it kind of fell short, and that's where I fell out of love with it, when it became like work.
Of course.
So I'm kind of at this crux point, and I know that I would love to do music full-time, but I think I would lose that part of me that because I'm a songwriter and I'm highly emotional inside, I get to see different things, and that's what inspires my music. So I don't know, it's to be determined, I guess. And I guess I'll just decide when the right time comes. But yeah, I mean, the goal is to do full-time music, but I don't know now.
Yeah, not at the moment.
The guys are doing full-time music. I'm just the one that's holding on to my life here.
I love that. And what the guys up to at the moment, because I know you said they're based in Switzerland. Is that right?
Yeah.
So what are they doing at the moment during COVID? Because obviously you guys are very much separated and unable to travel. So are you still keeping in touch?
Yeah, it's like my whole life is like in long distance relationships. It's crazy. So they live in a town outside of Zurich, like a small town that's accessible by train or whatever. And Switzerland has a civil service. I don't know if you know about it, but which means that every year they have to serve for like, I think it's 6 to 12 weeks, depending on the project you're working on.
Okay.
And so they've been working on a quarantine facility and also acting as security guards for
Wow.
that facility. So it's kind of put all of the production of our album on hold. I've recorded everything that I need to do, which is cool, but then we've got to have the other side as well. So they've just been released. We had a meeting last week, and it looks like we're moving forward with the album. Our mixer and masterer in LA, who was working on, can I say it?
You can say, well, yeah, for me, you can, yeah.
So Tom Morris, he's a great guy. He was working on our album. He was working with Lady Gaga, which kind of took precedent, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. But now he's all
But now
yours.
he's ready.
All
Now he's
yours now.
So we'll be able to send him tracks and get the album all put together. So hopefully in the next, we're releasing a single first called Out of My Mind.
Okay.
We've realized that our songs are really related to what's going on in the world. So just hoping that Out of My Mind doesn't cause even more chaos. We'll
Yeah.
see.
I suppose, yeah, because Wildfire was released right at the time Australia was going through
The
wildfire as well,
fires.
wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And then Digital Love started at the, like, right before lockdown or at the beginning of lockdown.
That's right. Yes, it did.
So it's like one thing after another.
It's almost like you've predicted the future.
I know.
Wrote
Got-
those songs and then released them just as it was kind of mind blown. Mind blown. So what's, I suppose we look at what's, you've got so many different sort of things going on in your life with regards to academia, sport, and music.
Mm.
Can you pick one highlight from each?
Yeah, why not? The highlight for me in football was just what I acquired in terms of character skills, I guess. Meeting people internationally and being able to communicate on a different level, and realizing the differences between the two, being hardworking and pursuing something to your very wit's end. And I think, like I told you before, that kind of undergirds everything in my life and is really helps me excel in different areas. From academia, I would say that I learned a lot of communication theory and about the way people work. And I think that helps me, one, in my day-to-day life, two, in observing what's going on in the world around me, and three, like trying to pick apart the media because it's not always what you think it is.
Yeah, of course.
And just kind of being like not being one of, how do you say it? Not being one of the many, but being somebody that looks at things and articulates them differently.
Yeah.
Or contextualizes them differently and sees an agenda, I guess, behind everything. And then in business, I would say the best thing that has come out of it, for me, it's always the people. I love meeting people. I love seeing what they're about, how they've gotten to where they are. And as long as I can I always talk about keeping the main thing the main thing. If people are the main thing, for me, always, I think everything else kind of falls underneath that,
Yeah, it's funny you should say that because I'm doing a personal statement for a master's degree at the moment.
Oh, right.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's around sports management. And I think from my experience, when it comes to, because I think one of the modules in there is sport marketing and all those things. And I honestly think that people, it doesn't matter what's on your uniform, what badge is there, people buy people and not necessarily the badge. Yes, the badge or whatnot might hold credibility and might open some doors for you, but actually it's the person that the people buy rather than the brand all the time. I've certainly found that. So it's nice to hear that from what you're saying about, it's the people rather than maybe it's the projects they're running. It's actually the people and dedication they're showing to
Exactly.
do better within the community.
People do business with people.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. If you're kind and benevolent and looking for the good in humanity, I think you'll be okay.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. And what about your career high in music?
My career high in music. Definitely the ETF event. We did so much promotion. so thankful for the guys for like enabling me to be a part of this, because obviously I'm not Swiss.
Yeah.
I'm American. It was a conversation, kind of like in football, how I wasn't exactly Icelandic. I'm not exactly Swiss, and they were like, oh, should we let her sing this song that she wrote, blah blah blah, should we let her do the event and all of that on TV, and yeah, so it's, I think being able to have that platform that they gave us, I think is a really cool thing.
No, it's
And
absolutely
also
fantastic.
doing writing holidays, like we went to Lisbon and wrote songs, and I love that.
It must be horrible.
It was so hot though.
Oh,
It was so hot.
yeah, so hot. It was horrible. I had to go to Lisbon to write some songs.
And I hated it.
Yeah, and she hated it. Listener, she hated it. She's lying. She's lying. She absolutely loved it. I seen the social media post. If that was hating something, then you can. I'll write a song in Lisbon anytime. I mean, it won't be as good, but I'll write one.
Prisoner of Lisbon.
Catchy title. That could also be the title of this episode, Prisoner of Lisbon.
God. Look at us go.
I know, hey, so creative. I'm loving it. Do you have, I'm not a massive one, I said this in the first episode, I'm not a massive one at focusing on regrets, but maybe is there anything in throughout sort of your journey that if you could change, you would change, or something that you've done that you maybe do regret? I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I think I did make a mistake with the press kind of early on, because when I was younger, in high school, at like the age of 17, you're being interviewed by a lot of people for like local news and stuff like that. And one time I said something about the hometown that I was from, wanting to get out of there as soon as possible. And he kind of like mixed up my words. And so I learned from a very young age to not hate on anything, which I do, obviously. And then also, I think one of my biggest regrets is probably letting football go too early. I had the opportunity, if I wanted to, because my national team coach was going to connect me to a team in Uppsala called Sirius. And he was like, why don't you just try out for that? Like, just go out and play with them. And I was like, I'm not good, and I wish I didn't let my pride kind of get in the way, because I probably could have fell in love with it again. Who knows?
Yeah.
Here we are.
Well, this is it, yeah. It's one of those. I love the fact that at 17 years of age at college and whatnot over in America at school, you're talking to press.
It's too young, man.
It is, but it also just shows the difference between the UK and America when it comes to sport. Sure. I think personally we are really bad at sport in the UK. I just think, you watch things and you see college football over in America, college soccer, college basketball, and they're filling stadiums for this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And we struggle to have anything like that.
Yeah, because of the collegiate system, kids are striving. They're like machines. Yeah. Like, you're striving as much as possible to get an athletic scholarship to go to college, because in the States, academia is worth so much. Yeah. Even though, it's just this piece of paper, it like opens so many doors for you, and that's still the stipulation behind it. Whereas here, you're like, oh, get some work experience, to go take a gap year, enjoy life. Whereas there, we're just like programmed that we kind of need the college to give us this status. So sports is everything. If that's your goal to get into college, you have to pour everything into that, because maybe you don't come from a great socioeconomic background or whatever, and your parents have invested so much into you at this point that you kind of owe it to them to make something of it.
Of course, yeah. It is. I always find it very interesting. Even when we were kickboxing, you'd see the difference from the North Americans to a lot of Europe, and it's all very, I think it's a very English thing to not sell yourself. I think for English are very just, I'm okay at this, or yes. Whereas I always find
I've noticed that.
It is, and I always find that the North Americans are always very much, if they're good at something, they're going to tell you they're good at it. And I personally like that. I think if you're good at something, then everything in life's a competition for me personally. Even if that's going for a job, there's somebody going to get that job, so somebody's going to win. So why not give the best account of yourself rather than being shy and saying, oh no, I'm okay at this, or I'm not very good at that. Just if you're good at something, just tell someone and justify it.
Just tell somebody. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've been really horrible at telling people that I'm good at things, but I'm probably the loudest person in the room. So even if you don't know what I've done, you'll know I'm there.
Yeah.
Really like making friends. So I think that's probably helped me through every career that I've ever had. Is being heard or making people. It's horrible, but it's like been my best asset. I don't know how.
But you said earlier again, it's people are people, and people like people, and so yeah, it is a funny one. And I just wish, I know some of the young people that I've worked with over the years, it is trying to get them to express themselves and say, well, what are you good at? If you're good at it, just justify it. It's not arrogance.
Yeah.
You know, it's confidence and arrogance are sometimes
two different things.
I think it's very two different. And I actually don't mind arrogance. I quite like arrogance if it can be justified.
If you're good.
If you're good, yeah. If you can justify it and be that arrogant, then is it really arrogance?
Yeah.
For me, no, it's not. But I just think it's an interesting one, watching how the North Americans go on, especially around sport, to us in the UK. And I know the UK still do very good in sporting events, but I just think with a change in mentality, it could be even better. That's another show.
That's another podcast.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, it's been absolutely fantastic having you on today, Hekla. Thank you so much.
It's been great chatting with you.
No, you too as well. Thank you so much for coming on, and I wish you all the best with Khasma moving forward. And we can't wait for the release of the album, so you'll have to keep us posted for when that's coming out.
Stay updated, stay tuned on all our social media and stuff, because it will be dropping in the next couple months. So
fantastic.
Excited about that. Maybe a tour coming up. So.
Oh wow, really? What European, UK's?
Probably UK first. Yeah.
Wow. Oh well.
And then we've got to go to Germany. We've got a huge random audience in Germany.
Thank you so much for coming on this morning.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you for your time, and I will speak to you soon.
We'll chat later.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Hobby of a Lifestyle. I hope you've enjoyed the show, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Stay safe.